Alrighty, guys, what's up? It's Mr. Meow. I'm excited. I'm happy. I've been grinding and grinding New World. It's finally here. The long wait is over. The delay, we overcame it. Here's a game I've been excited for ever since I played the beta. Pajama Sam literally praised this game to me for over 6 months, telling me that he was excited for it. I finally tried the beta. I love it. And for all of you guys that have no idea what the game is, I'm going to give you the rundown right here, right now. And for those of you that have been playing it, I'll try and include some tips and things that I have learned through my first week of gameplay. So, first things first, anybody that hasn't heard of the game, new open world MMO, massive, massive, massive game. It's essentially a mix of like WoW and RuneScape and like Elder Scrolls Online, but I feel like this game is what Elder Scrolls was trying to do amidst all of its problems and mistakes that they made. And for anybody that is wondering, should I play this game? You see it everywhere. Shroud is playing it. You see all these streamers playing it. You see it has everybody on Steam playing it. Should you play it? Should you play it? If you're a person that loves the grind of MMOs, absolutely worth trying. If you play Destiny, if you play old school or RuneScape 3, if you play World of Warcraft, if you play Elder Scrolls Online, you definitely should at least dip your toes in this game and try it out. I think you'll like it. Now, if you're a person who doesn't like these kinds of games, if you don't like any of the games that I just listed, if you just hate MMOs, if you just like playing Call of Duty and like jumping into multiplayer games, slaying out, if you like playing any of the battle royales and you don't like playing these grindy games, this isn't for you. But if you do like these kinds of games, guys, absolutely try out New World. Now, I've been playing for a week, and I can tell you already, this game has a ton of content. From skills that you can level up to every single weapon has its own leveling system and skill tree. So you have to level up each weapon that you have. You get two weapons, you get to swap between them, and you get to choose whichever weapon you want, and you just level that weapon up by using it. You kill stuff. This game has a ton of content I can look forward to, but the biggest thing to me that grabbed me about this game, it wasn't the skills grind, it wasn't the questing, it's the combat. The combat in this game is very refreshing. It's very rewarding. It's just really outright fun. As you level up, you start to feel like you're a hammer god. You start to feel like you're Legolas with a bow. You start to feel really good with these different weapons as you level them up. And I think it's very rewarding on top of just being really fun and interesting. I do love the combat in this game. I think it's very unique and it's a very big draw for new players that are playing this game. And for players that play all the other MMOs, whether they are playing any of the MMOs I listed earlier, this game draws everybody in with its unique, wonderful combat system. And as I mentioned, this game does have a skills grind. Very RuneScape-esque, I will say. You have your wood cutting, you have your fishing, you have your armor smithing, you have your armoring, you have your jewel crafting, you have arcane, you have all of it. Your mining, it's all there, and it's very grindy. I will tell you guys, in about a week I got all of my gathering skills, which are, wood cutting, mining, gathering, and skinning and tracking. I got all those skills to 100, and it is a grind, ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you, you got to be out there, you got to be interactive, you got to be skinning the kills that you get, you got to be picking up the herbs that you see, you got to be hitting all the iron veins that you see, all the silver veins that you see, you chop down all the mature trees, the young trees. And I will tell you guys right now, you get into this game, wood cutting or logging is probably the hardest skill to level up. And I might come out with a guide for that down the road. Because like I said, I did get to 100 wood cutting, and that was the longest skill grind I had. I don't advise anybody try and just go out there and chop trees for 4 or 5 hours to get to 100. There is better methods. I'll get to that later into maybe another video. But for now, if you love the RuneScape skill grind, ladies and gentlemen, this game has it. And then some. And kind of another thing that I'm just going to kind of note on the side here. This isn't a big deal or anything crazy, but I am noticing, a lot of people are wondering, is this game pay to win? Are there things that you can buy that give you increased XP or this or that? And there isn't. There's nothing you can purchase with real money that will enhance your in-game play. No pay to win. Most of the other MMOs have some form of pay to win. This game does not. They do have microtransactions. You can buy cosmetic. There's tons and tons of cosmetics in this game. Weapon skins, armor skins, the latter. And they said going forward that they're not going to be having any game-enhancing microtransactions. So this game will have zero pay-to-win in it. Cough, cough, Elder Scrolls. Cough, cough, RuneScape. Which I like. You are rewarded for playing the game. And I think that's going to be something that really gives this game some real longevity down the road. I also do think that they will probably take a Destiny 2 approach in terms of how they monetize. I think we're going to get yearly or, maybe even every 6 months, some sort of DLC that we pay for. I think there'll probably be one big yearly DLC, kind of like WoW, kind of like Destiny. They're going to have something that's going to, they've already promised new areas, new weapons, new mobs and all that kind of stuff down the road. And I think it'll come with those big DLCs that they'll probably release. They'll probably throw some free content, just to keep the game going every 3 months, 6 months. But as is, this game has thousands of hours of content from the get-go. Now, another thing I do want to talk about a little bit before I go into some tips for new players and maybe existing players. Maybe you don't notice these things, but I personally just love roaming the map. It is a little tedious. You can't fast travel everywhere you want all the time. There's no mounts. There's no way to speed around the map. But that kind of gives some vibe to the game, There's some real vibe to just walking around. You see the beautiful scenery. If your PCs allow it, you play it on high. The graphics are phenomenal for an MMO. I mean, between WoW and RuneScape and all these other cartoony MMOs like Neverwinter, it's a breath of fresh air. I love games when they are open world, big. Destiny has good graphics, but it's not super open world. ESO has some decent graphics, but ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, definitely has a lot of issues that kind of stop it from being, an S-tier MMO like World of Warcraft. But this game has it. It has incredible graphics. It just sets a great tone. Every area you go into, whether you're in a swamp or you're in just like an open plains, it just feels nice. It is relaxing. It's just beautiful. And I really give kudos to the devs on putting so much work into the graphics of this game. All right. So, new guys, you're coming into the game. I have some advice. Been playing a week, about 100 hours, so I got some time in the game. I do advise you choose 2 weapons, a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, whether you do, sword and shields with a musket or a spear and a bow, or you do the fire staff and a hammer. You want some range, just in case. You want melee, just in case. Don't make the mistake going, I love magic, I'm going to go fire staff and healing staff, because you're going to be Mana Star. I promise you that. Don't go double mana. Don't go Ice Gauntlet, Fire Staff because you love magic, because you're just going to run into mana problems, especially early in the game. You need to be able to swap to a melee weapon in case you run out of mana in a fight. You don't have potions. You don't have mana regenning. You can't use your staff without mana. You can't use magic without mana. So always have a melee weapon on hand. If you have a melee weapon, a lot of guys, they main hammers, they main spears, they main all sorts of stuff. Myself, I'm a spear guy. But whatever you do, have a melee weapon ready and have an alternative. Say you need to chase down an elk. You need to shoot it. You need to hit it with a bow, hit it with a musket, hit it with a staff, a fireball, whatever. Some things are really fast. You need to hit them with range. And then sometimes you get overwhelmed by 15 ads out of nowhere and you need a melee weapon to defend yourself. So have both. And I personally maybe dip your toes into a couple of weapons, but you want to pick them pretty quick. Pick 2, level them up. The skills are incredible, guys. Every single weapon, incredible skill trees. incredible abilities, all sorts of them. So I would advise once you get one weapon to a decent level, maybe then switch. Maybe then, maybe you're using a spear. You get it to the spear mastery to level 10, level 15. Maybe it's time to switch. Maybe you even want to try the hammer. Maybe you want to try the sword and the shield. But my biggest advice is stick to 2 weapons early on. That way you can just level them up. You have a fighting chance. Because sometimes when you're leveling up new weapons, you run into some problems. This will help you there. The other thing, guys, big mistake people do a lot, and I'm just going to cover it since I just mentioned a lot of the weapons. If you're not using sword, do not have a shield equipped. You get no benefit. I see a lot of guys running around, they have a spear and with a shield on their back. Gives you no benefits. It actually weighs you down more because you have an equipment weight. Now if you are light with your equipment, you actually get a really nice dodge. It's a very, very, very far little dash, like a little roll, go pretty far. If you have medium gear weight, you don't have as far of a dash. And if you wear heavy, which the spear basically puts you automatically into the medium or heavy range, you use a lot more stamina, and you don't want to do that. Especially if you're a guy wearing all light armor and then you have a shield on, you don't get the benefits of the light armor. So don't have a shield on. Don't have a shield on if you're not using a sword. It gives you no gear score increase, gives you no stat increase, gives you no additional armor of any kind. Don't make that mistake, guys. Now, another thing I advise, and I'm going to go into the towns in a second here, but do not rush to buy a house. And I tell you this because your first house, you get a discount. You only get that the first time. I would advise you get one of the more expensive houses as your first house, because I think the most expensive house is $20,000, which will bring it back down to $10,000 with your first time home buyer discount. If you use your first house on a small house, a $5,000 house, you're throwing money on the table. Save up. It's not really that big of a deal. I advise saving up for a big house, getting $10,000 and buying that $20,000 value house in the game. And this brings me to my next piece of advice, guys. Don't have your house and inn in the same place. I like to have house in one city, which right now is Weavers. I love Weavers a lot. And I have my inn set to Everfall. A lot of my stuff is in Everfall, so I'm constantly going back to Everfall, using my hourly recall. And I do this again, guys, because it lets you traverse the map fast. Now, you can really double down if you think you're going to be in Everfall for the rest of your life. You can have your inn and the house in the same place, get more fast travels back, but eventually, guys, you're gonna leave Everfall and it's gonna be annoying. So I just advise having your house and an inn in separate locations, preferably your 2 most traveled locations. Which brings me to another place. Try and have all of your stuff in storage in 2 towns, and preferably make sure those towns are under your faction. If you have it under your faction, things will be cheaper. It's just good. Just trust me on this. Try and allocate all of your items into 2 storage bins in 2 cities. Mine, like I said, Weaver's Fen and Everfall are my 2 cities. I have all of my items in storage in both of the cities, and I go back and forth between them. I advise you guys try and do the same thing. And in case, maybe you lose the town, we'll get into that later. You can just move your stuff over, whatever. We'll get into all that later. Like I said, don't rush to buy your first house, and make sure you have your inn check-in. And if you buy a house, make sure they're in 2 different cities. Just gives you a faster way to traverse the map if you need to. Now, there is a really massive PvP part of this game, and it's very, very Elder Scrolls-esque in a way, but it's better. It's a lot better. Now, every area you go into the main city, and you can toggle PvP on or off in the city only. You can't just be out and about, turn PvP on and attack some dude. Not how it works. You have to be in the city, you turn it on or off before you go out and about and questing into the world. Now, if you're in Everfall, for example, you're in Everfall, you go into the town, into the hamlet, whatever they want to call it, turn PvP on, you go out into the world, you see people with the red X over their head on other factions. You cannot attack people in your own faction. So you see people from the Marauders, you could go and attack them, you can fight them. If it's a group, I wouldn't advise doing it unless you have a group too. Now, to the next part, if you're in a city, you're in a hamlet, you can go to your faction quests board, and you can pick up PvP quests. Or you can pick up PvE quests. The PvE quests give you a lot less faction tokens and faction XP. The PvP ones give you a lot more, almost triple. And on top of that, getting kills in PvP also gives you a lot of XP and a lot of weapon XP as well. Now, the point of doing your faction missions, your faction has influence in that area. And whichever group fills up the bar, they take control of the area. They take the fort, boom, bada bing, it is now their area. It's claimed in their name. And other factions may contest this by, you guessed it, getting that influence with their faction board, doing faction quests, PvE or PvP. PvP, like I said, gets you a lot more. So you'll see a lot of people in this game, they'll get into groups of like 10, 20, 30 faction members, and they'll just run around doing the PvP quest. And they just sit there and farm the influence, and you see it. So when you're hovering over an area, it tells you the influence of all 3 factions in that area. Generally, the controlling faction will be at 100%, and then any other factions that are trying to contest it, it'll show their numbers. When another faction, so say Everfall, again, is under control of the Syndicate, and say the Marauders, they fill up the faction bar, they will now be able to declare war on the area, potentially taking it. It's happening all day, all night, in every server. See people in the faction chats freaking out. These guys are invading here. This group is doing PvP missions over here. Let's go stop them. Now, when you die doing a PvP mission, you lose it. It's completely gone. You gotta pick up the PvP quest at your faction board. You go out, you do the mission, you bring it back to the board to turn it in. You can't fast travel back. You're out there, you have to get out there, complete the mission, and get back without getting killed by another player. Other players are out there trying to stop it. There's just guys out there. They're not even doing PvP quests. They're just marked for PvP all the time. They see you, they're going to go after you. If you die, you not only do you lose the quests, you don't get the XP. Remember that. Just because you went out there and completed it, you still have to go back and turn it back in. Don't forget that, guys. That's really important. And that's the gist of the PvP. The longer you are queued for PvP, the more somebody will get for killing. So if you have a guy who's been marked for PvP all day, and he's been doing quests and all kinds of stuff, and then you kill him, you're going to get a lot of XP. But if you are sitting there farming a guy who just respawned, you're getting nothing. You only get it the first time. If they haven't, and trust me, people are going to come back just to try and get that kill. So you kill somebody, get out of Dodge. Get out of there. There's no reason to stay. There's no reason to farm them over and over again, because they're going to keep coming back till they kill you. And once you die, that's it. You know, they get the XP that they wanted initially. Kill somebody, I advise getting out of there, because they're just going to keep respawning right there on their campfire. They have nothing to lose at this point. They already lost their quest. If you have quests, get the hell out of there. If you don't care, then just keep fighting. It doesn't matter. But if you are trying to do PvP quests and you encounter somebody and you kill them, get out of there. You got to get that mission turned in. If you die, you lose all your progress. The PvP is really interesting in this game because it's very interactive. I haven't done a war yet, but wars are also very insane from what I've seen. I've watched a lot of videos on it. Once a faction fills up the faction influence in an area, they can declare war. And the wars are nasty. You got all sorts of stuff going on. But I think the PvP aspect of this game makes it really interesting. The fact that you can do it anywhere and everywhere. I think ESO really struggled because they had a specific area for PvP. And if you got farmed, if you died, you were spending 45 minutes to return back to where you were just to try and help back out. Where here, you can respawn if you want right back. You don't have to traverse forever. You don't have to walk forever. You go right back to the town that's nearest to you or to your campfire, whatever. You turn it off if you want. You don't have to stay queued in PvP. You can just turn it off once you respawn back in the city. So just remember that, guys. Don't let PvP trigger you, make you want to quit the game. Trust me, these guys are out there. They play all day. They're in groups of 20, 30, and be aware, if an enemy spots you, they might call you out to their faction. They might be like, hey, there's 5 purples doing PvP quests in our area. And out of nowhere, you'll see them assemble. Trust me, it happens. See it all the time in my faction. My faction's like, hey, there's some yellows. They're doing PvP quests. Let's get together. Let's get them out of here. And I've seen people call out all sorts of stuff, all kinds of crazy plans in the faction chat. Faction chat, guys, it's entertainment. You'll see guys fighting with each other, and then they come together and they remember they're on the same team. Just remember that, guys. Don't let the PvP aspect of the game frustrate you. I try to just dabble my feet once a day in it. If I get tired of it, I go back to questing. There's so much content in this game. You can spend hours PvPing, get tons of XP. Very rewarding. Now, another thing in this game that is related to each area you're in is you have standing. In every area, unique standing, which is your quote-unquote XP in that area. So you have standing in Everfall. You have standing in Cutlass. You have standing in Weavers. You have standing in Brightwood. You have standing in each area, And everything you do while you're in that area gives you more XP towards your standing. And my advice, so every time you level up your standing, you actually gain a benefit. You get 3 options, and I want to say they're randomized. You get a choice between 3, and it'll give you random. It could be something like gain extra XP while you're in Brightwood. It could be gain extra standing while you're in Brightwood. It could be 5% faster harvesting while you're in Brightwood. It could be a bunch of things. And when you hit level 10 standing in each area, it allows you to buy a small house. I advise not rushing to buy a house, guys. I'd wait to get the more expensive house because you get a first time buyer's discount at 50% off. So if you get to like level 20 or 30, you can buy a $20,000 house, or 20,000 gold house rather, and it'll be 10,000. You only get that discount once. So if you get level 10 in Brightwood and you buy the small house that's worth 5,000 gold, and you get your half off discount for first time home buyer, yeah, sure, you got a small house for 2,500 gold. But if you would have waited a little bit longer, got your standing to level 20 or 30, could have gotten a bigger house, saved a lot more gold in the long run. And when you do own a house, you have to pay taxes every week on. So you have to pay. I would just wait. I would save up, get some standing. And again, guys, I think standing is super important. I always buy the standing increases every time I level up my standing and I gain a benefit. And like I said, guys, you can get all sorts of benefits. Bonus XP, faster crafting, house ownership, all sorts of stuff. So I would always be working on raising your standing in an area. If you go to the town board, you can do those quests. They don't give you as much XP, but they do give you standing. Standing is important. Don't forget that. Also just has tons and tons of benefits. And the last thing I'm going to go over for now is gaining XP, guys. Best way to do it is doing the main story quest. But I would not advise just zeroing in on the main story quest, because you're going to hit stopping points where you're not high enough level. You want to start doing side quests in every area, and even doing some of the town board missions. So I'm going to go over town board missions before we get going here in this video. The town board quests are actually really important. So if you are in a town and it's controlled by your faction, you can actually upgrade different things. Whoever is in control of the hamlet, they declare, oh, we're going to level up our woodcutting station to level 2. Everybody has to do town board quests until it fills up the bar. And when it does, you get to the next level. You can make your woodcutting station level 2. You can make your smelter level 3, level 4. You can make your arcana station level 2, 3, 4. You can make your kitchen level 2, level 3. And it's a group effort. Everybody in the faction's got to do it. And you do that at the town board. And again, the company or guild that controls the hamlet, they get to decide what's getting upgraded every day. So it'll make an announcement. It'll say, Everfall is upgrading the smelter to level 2. And then everybody can do town board quests until it gets leveled up. And then I think the next day they can choose another project. And that's what that is, guys. That's what the project is. And there's other sorts of things. There's you could do town board quests to gain a buff for everybody in the faction in that area, which is really cool. All sorts of things. And then even there's also town board quests to upgrade your fort for when you go to war, which you'll see that in there. There'll be ballistas and different upgrades that everybody can come together, do quests, and send XP towards. Town board quests don't give you as much XP, but they do give you a lot of standing in that city or in that area. So don't forget that. And like I said, guys, fastest way to just get XP. Everything in the game gives you XP, but the best way to get it, doing the main story quest or doing the dungeon. The Amrine dungeon is probably the fastest one to do once you get to a high enough level. I think somebody said you can get 30,000 XP per hour in that expedition/dungeon. I keep calling it a dungeon because I'm a boomer, but Amrine, definitely a good expedition. If you get high enough, if you get a group, definitely do that. And then also, guys, last thing I'm going to go over, actually, I kind of forgot about, are the corruption portals. Now, corruption portals are really good XP, but you have to contribute. And sometimes it can be hard in a large group to get some hits in. Maybe there's 30 people and you don't get any credit because you only got 2 hits on one ad. It sucks. I advise going in there with a group of 4 or 5 increases your chance. If one of your guys is doing a lot of damage, it gives credit to everyone. So it just increases your chances of getting credit. And it gives you, like I said, a lot of XP. You also get some pretty good drops in there. You get little lock chests, and those things are really good for XP. But like I said, it's hard to get a group going to travel from corruption portal to corruption portal. Those corruption portals are pretty good, and I think they give I think I read somewhere they are actually the best XP, but it's hardest to pull off because if there's too many people, it could be really hard for you to get credit. Whereas the dungeon, you're set with your group that goes in, 5 people max, and everybody just automatically gets credit. And also, if you're repeating the expedition, don't forget to grab the Barkimedes quest. It gives you a lot of XP and it makes it worthwhile to repeat XP wise, because loot wise, really good loot in there no matter how many times you do it. Exclusive items in there that you can only get from the dungeon as well. And with that, guys, for now, that's New World, man. New World, open MMO, tons of grind, tons of loot, tons of combat, tons of content overall. I've been playing as long as I've been playing. I've only been to half the map. I'm hitting level 40, and I'm trying to head to the northern areas that are, for the level 40 to 60. I'm really looking forward to it because every area I walk in, very challenging, very fun. And I look forward to doing some more videos on this game, maybe some guides. I'm going to probably try and do a new player guide with my next video, and then maybe some crafting guides. I know a lot of you guys are out there trying to get your mining up or your wood cutting, what have you. I do have a lot of really good strategies to get it up pretty quick. Get your whatever kind of XP you're looking for. I have strats. So I'm going to probably do some videos on all that as well. And I look forward to doing some more videos on this game. Love the game so far, and I really look forward to seeing what they do with it going forward.